nothing quite like having to pack up all of your stuff to make you reconsider all of your life choices, which is why I'm trying to spare myself a little bit of that pain and do some decluttering before I have to pack. So today we are going to be doing a little declutter video. I have, I don't know, maybe 10 things here. They're not coming with me, so let's just get straight into it, shall we? What other introduction do we even need? So I have two palettes here. The first is the Profusion Glam palette. Now I bought this probably 2.5, 3 years ago, mainly for the mirror. I don't want to show you the mirror because it'll be blinding, but it's a good size mirror, and importantly, or at least it originally did, the packaging would stay up. It would stay where I put it. And that was very useful because at that point, when I was filming my Get Ready With Me's, I didn't have a nice mirror that I could just put out and use. I needed something like this. The shadows actually ended up being surprisingly good as well. Here is the color scheme we have going. There's a couple of more neutral shimmers, 3 neutral mattes, and then what I would consider to be 4 more colorful shimmers. I like this palette. I don't think there is anything wrong with this palette. I put this palette in a video, I think it was called like building a drugstore makeup kit for cheap for beginners or something. Some hodgepodge of those words. And this was in it because I think it is an excellent little starter piece. I just never use it. The only times I've used this palette in the last probably 1.5 years have been when I told myself that I was going to use this palette. So why am I keeping it around? It's not useful for me for the mirror anymore. I don't find myself using the shadows. It seems silly to take this to a new house, find a new spot for it when I'm just not going to use it. This next one is kind of sad, but I just feel like it's time. This is from NYX. It is the Ultimate Shadow Palette in Utopia. And I have gotten my use out of this palette. I'm sure you can see. I have panned in what? 8 shades of 16. I really enjoyed this. It's another palette that I just don't use anymore. This was my favorite for a long time, and I think there are some really lovely shades in here. But as my collection has grown, I have dupes in better formulas for most, if not all, of these shades. And then the shades that I don't have dupes for. So honestly, I might actually have something more similar to this than I originally thought. But let's go with this shade, this like bright green. I haven't wanted to wear this in well over a year. I don't foresee myself choosing to wear this. My eyes have gotten more sensitive, so I'm less willing to put a pressed glitter like this right up in my eye area. So I think it's time for this. There are shades that if this was easy to depot, I would probably take out and put in a magnetic palette. So I would probably try to finish off this shade. This is a really nice skin tone shade for me. If I go in a little too heavy with a dark eyeshadow, this works really nicely to diffuse it. This peach is nice, but I have it like 10 times over. Yeah, really this top half, well, let's change the perspective. This top half of the palette is quite nice quality. This bottom half I think is more interesting, but the quality isn't as good. Yeah, I was kind of wondering if I was actually going to go through with getting rid of this, but now that I've really talked through it, I feel pretty good about this decision. I don't think I'm going to miss that. Are we going to count this as a palette or not? It's a little duo from Kiko, and this is another thing that I just don't use. It's too chunky to go in with most of my eyeshadows, and it's not that interesting, so I never think to bring out this particular compact for these two shades. Did I even introduce what this is? This is the Bright Duo Baked Eyeshadow. And there is a ton of shadow in here. They are baked, and this does pop out. There's a little hole at the back that you can stick a bobby pin in there or something, and you get the eyeshadow out. But it's so thick. That's what I meant by it's so chunky. It just doesn't fit in my magnetic palettes. So, yeah, I think this is gonna go. It's fine. It's on the dry side, which isn't that surprising for a baked eyeshadow. But the shade really aren't anything to write home about. I mean, there's the taupe, which I guess is more impressive than the light shimmery shade. I mean, that's just a little bit of scattered glitter. This, I could get some more pigment off of that if I wanted to. It's just, yeah, it's nothing super impressive. It never really builds up to anything wild. This is not a swatch it and ooh and ah over the formula. I don't need this. I have another of these duos in like a shimmery yellow and then a white, and I love it. It is one of my favorite products in my collection. I have like worn it down so much, especially the yellow shade where you can just see a ridge in the product. But this one has never gotten that much use from me because it's just not super impressive. Let's now go to a couple of skincare pieces. First up, I have this Botanics All Bright Refreshing Eye Roll-On. I've had this for ages. I might have had this for 4 years. And it's expired. It's like leaking out the sides of the ball. It's not dispersing any product. Let's just not mess with that. Get any product that did manage to come off of my hand right away. I don't know why I've held on to this for as long as I have. Clearly, I'm not going to use it. Like, what's going to change now in the 5th year of owning that product that is going to get me to use it that hasn't happened in the first 5 years? Right? Anyone else have products like that? And then I also have this Pure Lease mask. This is the Pumpkin and Ginger Detoxifying Charcoal Mask. I don't really need a charcoal mask. My skin is no longer super oily like it was. Well, I don't even know that it was super oily when I got this, but I was still working under the assumption that my skin was still quite oily. I don't love pumpkin scents. They kind of bother me, actually. This one's not bad, but it's not good either. If I'm going to use a mask that is scented, I want it to smell like something I'll enjoy that would actually push me to use it. It's not a positive for me. And it's not a type of product that I really need. I don't need a detox mask to pull gunk out of my pores. I have pretty well-behaved skin at the moment, knock on wood. So I don't need this. It's just taking up space. Next up, we have the Bonnie Doomanizer. I haven't used this summer. I told myself that I was maybe going to mix this into lotion or just, apply a little bit on my shoulders, but I'm so fair at this point. I did not get any summer sun whatsoever. I just burned whenever I went outside. So nothing got any deeper. This still doesn't look good on me, and even when I would wear it, like last summer, I always felt like it looked really obvious. It's just not for me, and this is old at this point. It's not something that anyone else wants to use. It can go in the trash. Here's a product that I actually used quite a bit. Like, if you go back to my very earliest videos on my channel, you'll see this all the time. This is the e.l.f. What are these called? Maybe the multi-sticks? It's the Sparkling Rose shade. And I did use a decent amount of this. I mean, it doesn't look like that much, but there is so much product in here. I can just tell that the formula on this is starting to change. It still applies okay, but this used to be very definitely a cream to powder, and now it feels dry even in its cream state. It still looks okay, but I have other cream blushes, and I don't know if this is going to cause problems for my skin now that the texture is changing. I don't need to risk big breakouts over a, what, $3, $4 little e.l.f. product. If I really miss it someday, which I don't think I will, because, I mean, I've owned this for 3.5 years, and this is how much I've used up of it. I could repurchase it. It would not be that big of a deal. And then this Pacifica product, I got this from Ipsy, and this is just a very blah product. There's nothing bad about it. There's nothing noteworthy about it either, though. I mean, it's a kind of a neutral, slightly pinky blush. This highlighter is not amazing. It just has like an almost grainy texture to it. It's just, it looks fine. It doesn't look great because the color just isn't really me. This is very golden, and I don't think it jives all that well with my skin tone. It looks okay mixed with the blush, but I don't know, I have neutral blushes that I like far more than this one. There's nothing that's drawing me to this little duo. It's okay. I don't have room for okay in my stash anymore. Like, I have so much blush. I have a decade's worth of blush sitting in my drawers easily. Why am I going to spend 2 years trying to finish this one when it's just okay? So that's how I'm choosing to view it. Now let's move on. I think most of what I have left is lip products. Oh, I do have one eye product. This is another super old product. I think I bought this in 2017. It's been a long time. This is the Brow Pow eyebrow powder from The Balm. I have mine in the shade Blonde, and I've used this. I mean, that is a lot of use on a brow powder, but I haven't been using it recently. I've been really enjoying using a brow pencil or using a pomade. This just hasn't been it for me lately. I've been liking a little bit more of a well-defined brow, so yeah. Also, I got this on clearance 5 years ago. No, wait, 6 years ago. We don't need this anymore. It's okay. It can go. And then I have 3 lip products, and then I think we can be 4 lip products. I know how to count. Yeah. I know the difference between 3 and 4, I promise. First up, we have this Kiko lip liner. This is just a very soft formula. Oh, I didn't even notice it had a sharpener on the end. So I'm afraid of this product, and the reason is that often when I use this, it will break off. It looks like last time it did. And this is very creamy. I can see this getting ground into the carpet of my current apartment or the carpet in my new house and just being impossible to get out. I'm afraid of this. I'm not going to use it. It can go in the trash before it causes way more than, how much was this? Like $2 worth of damage? I can find a different lip liner if I really need something in that exact shade. And I don't think I'm going to need something in that exact shade. I have other reddish lip liners. It'll be fine. Next up, we have a NYX Soft Matte. No, this is the NYX Liquid Suede, not the Soft Matte Lip Creams. And this color just doesn't do a whole lot for me. We'll actually see another pretty similar shade in just a minute, but there's something about the peachiness. I don't know if it's even peachiness. There's something about the tone of brown in this lipstick that makes me look really sickly. It really makes the area around my lips look sort of dead. I don't like it. I can make it work with a lip liner, but this also gets on my teeth. It's not worth working with, so I'm going to be getting rid of it. Another thing in the similar vein, this Tarte Villa. This is one of their H2O balms. This shade is just hideous on me. Like, there's something similar in the browns that are in these two lip products, and this Tarte one, it's even more pronounced, where it just looks so gross on my lips. Like, if I was going to dress up as a zombie for Halloween, but like not a cute zombie in any way, just like horrifying back from the dead, this. For every day, not really the look I'm going for. And then finally, last but certainly not least, we have this Milk Makeup Electric Glossy Lip Plumper, and this just doesn't do anything for me. My lips are pretty sensitive. I don't know if you guys were around here around this time last year, but I had like an allergic reaction, which I eventually found out was to beeswax, that just had my lips peeling and cracking and disgusting for months. Like 8 or 9 months, my lips just looked like they were going to fall off. And this has the tingle. I don't love the tingle in a lip plumper. Really, I don't like lip plumpers very much to begin with. I'm okay with where my lips are at. They're not super full, but they're not tiny either, and I'm not willing to put up with pain to get them bigger. So this can go. It's fine. It does work. It does plump your lips up a little bit, but there's a price to pay for that. And I'm feeling so good about getting rid of these things. Oh my goodness. Just feels very freeing to be moving some things out. What? There's 27 eyeshadows that I'm moving out? That's not an unsizable chunk of my collection. That feels really good. I know that I have not brought in, I wouldn't say that I know that I haven't brought in 27 eyeshadows this year, but I would be surprised if I have brought in that many eyeshadows. Moving 27 out feels like a huge step in the right direction. And I think that about wraps things up. Let me know if you've tried any of these products. Would they also be things that you would declutter, or are they things you're in love with? I'd be really curious to know. It's always so fun to hear people's opinions about things you've actually tried, especially when they differ from your own. I could see some of these things being really strong favorites for some people because, well, some of these things were strong favorites for me at one point. Anyway, thanks again. I hope you guys are having wonderful, wonderful days, and that I see you guys in the next one. Bye!